Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to another episode of Project Zomboid. This is episode 5 of our Fleeing Kingsmouth series. And on this episode, we're going to be finishing up what we started on episode 4, which was leveling up our mechanic and our electrical skill, and maybe getting the boat and a car back home, right? So we're going to be heading over there to the car locations that we have from the past episodes, and I'll see you there shortly. So here we are, we're just now arriving at the parking lot in front of the harbor. And what we're going to be doing first is we're going to be collecting all the watches from the zombies that we killed on previous episodes. I already collected a couple on the route between the house and the parking lot. So we got a couple in our inventory. And the reason we're doing this is because every time you dismantle the watches, you get electrical experience. And if you remember, we need level 1 so we can hotwire cars. So we're just going to kind of walk around real quickly. We're going to pick up all of these watches and we're going to proceed to dismantle them. Now, unfortunately, there aren't actually enough watches on these zombies to get us to level 1 just by dismantling them. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to start doing mechanic on the vehicles. And once that's done, we're going to go ahead and dismantle the watches, and then we're going to go into the building, the harbor. And once we're in there, we're going to start dismantling the wall-mounted clocks, because those actually give more XP than the watches themselves. As soon as we kill this single zombie here, which wandered into our territory, this is one of the cool things I like about playing without zombie respawn, is that once you've killed all the zombies in an area, you are relatively safe. So I don't have to be too worried about getting jumped by a horde of zombies inside of a room or something like that. Or while doing mechanics of a vehicle like we're about to right now. Speaking of, I have actually lost multiple characters throughout the years playing this game, doing mechanics in the dark like I'm about to, which is probably a bad idea, because the zombies will just sneak up on you and you'll have no time to react. Especially considering how big the mechanic window is and how it's not transparent. Now, something you might have noticed that the game's actually going really fast, and I actually sped up the video here a little bit because there is actually a lot of stuff happening. Just doing some maintenance, just right clicking, left clicking, lots of clicking going on right now. So I'm just gonna kind of go through this real quick. We're gonna move on to the next car here in just a minute. And every time we do this, we get experience. If you haven't already noticed that on the other episodes, every time you take a part out and you put it back in, you get experience. Now, unlike the previous episode, we can actually remove the driver's seat now because we're actually level 1 mechanic. We're on our way to level 2, which is going to be much faster to get than level 1 because we have more car parts to work with. And once we reach level 2, we're going to go ahead and hotwire that red car that we have at the parking lot of the pharmacy, just to the top left of the screen. And then we're probably going to take one of the boats that we found back to the base, or actually maybe to the harbor because that's where the fuel pump is. I think we'll do that instead. Once we finish grabbing the car and the boat, we're going to start preparing to leave the island. Now, there's a list of items that I need, which I thought of while making this video, and the main one that we need is a generator, right? But in order to use a generator so we have electricity to pump the boat with gas and our jerry cans, or fuel cans, how they're called in the game, we are going to need the book on how to use generators. Now, I don't actually remember if we've already found it. I don't think we have. So we have to find a new one. And the best way to do that is to basically, we're going to have to go into town, right? Now, we haven't actually been to town yet, so it's going to be full of zombies, and there's no safe way to actually go there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drive down the road, couple houses down from where we've been to before, and from there we'll just try to sneak around, avoiding fighting as many zombies as possible so we don't tire ourselves. I'm going to avoid killing every zombie that I see, only the ones that are necessary so we can get in the houses. We're going to be looking primarily for books, and as soon as we have everything, we're going to get out of this island. But for now, let's focus back on our mechanical XP. We're just about to level up here. This is the final car. And as soon as we're done, as I said, there we go. We're going to go ahead and head over to the harbor itself. We're going to go ahead and slow down time again, so that's back to normal speed. And we're going to focus on dismantling the clocks, right? That we talked about earlier, the ones that are on the walls, which give lots of experience. Now, I tried to dismantle the lamps outside, but those can't be dismantled for XP. But these ones, the clocks, can. And they give around, I think, 5 XP. Now, luckily for us, there's actually quite a lot of these in here. Almost every room has one of these. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to get some sleep here, and I'll catch up to you guys in the morning after we've dismantled all these clocks. Now here we are. It's morning of the next day. I dismantled all the clocks that were in the harbor, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough to get us to level 1. So we need to get a couple more watches, And what we're going to do is we're going to go into the pharmacy building, the one just there to the top left that you can see when I zoom out. And we're going to dismantle the clocks in there as well for the rest of the XP that we need, right? And once we're done with that, since we already have level 2 mechanic, we can start to hotwire the red car that's just in the parking lot in the front of the building. Anyway, now that the zombies are gone, we're just going to go ahead and quickly loot any watches off of them, and we're going to go ahead and head into the first store on the left, clothing store. Now, I actually tried to dismantle the air conditioners here for electrical XP, but those only give metalworking XP instead, so those don't work. But we're just going to ignore everything that's in the building, and we're going to go straight for the clocks, which is our main mission of today. We got to get that level 1 electrical skill. I'm pretty sure there's enough clocks inside of this compound of buildings to get us to level 1. There's the red car that we want, that one right there, just on the top left of the screen. There's the first one on the right, but this one, we don't actually have a crowbar to open. Actually, we don't have a crowbar to open either of the boats that we have. And this one seems to be badly placed, whereas I have to kind of push it with the car, which would damage the car. So I think we're actually going to end up taking the other boat once we finish leveling up our skills here. You can see how the front of the boat is into the wall, which is where the hook is to attach it to the car. Whereas the second boat, which is over by the bar, is really easy to access and hook up to the car. At this point, we're basically almost level 1 electrical. I think we're missing 1 or 2 clocks, which we're going to get here in just a minute once we get to the pharmacy. And as you can see, the boat is like right up against the wall right there, which makes it really hard to get to the car. Which is why we're going to get the one from the bar. Now, from the previous episode, there is still a lot of medical supplies here, which we might load them up into the car later. But for now, let's just dismantle the clock. And there we have it. We now have all the skills required to hotwire vehicles, right? So we don't need to dismantle anything else. Now that we have all the skills required to complete our journey, we're going to start stocking up on items. Now, this pharmacy has a lot of gear here that we left from the previous episode, which I don't think we're ever going to use all of it, but we're going to take it all back home anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up everything that we might need, and we're going to stock it up into the red car that is outside, and we're going to hotwire it as soon as we're done. Basically, what I usually grab from medical buildings are bandages, bottles of disinfectant, beta blockers, antidepressants, suture needles, suture needle holders, I think is what they're called, sleeping pills, I think that's most of them. Basically anything that can fix a sort of moodle, which is what we're trying to collect up on. But these are just one of the items that we're going to be collecting for our trip back to the mainland. Basically medical items, food, electricity, drinkable items, water, and firepower are kind of the stuff that are on the to-do list now, right? We have everything else that we need. We got the boat, we have a fuel pump that we can fill up all our stuff in. Basically, we're just going to fill up the list now. Now, I haven't actually gone into these boats in this playthrough yet, so I don't actually know how much we can actually store in them. So a lot of the stuff that we're picking up, we're not actually going to be able to take with us. But I will take a couple of every item, which is what we're kind of doing right now. I am overstocking, basically, at the moment. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and speed this up. I'm going to go ahead and loot everything, and I'll meet you guys back at the red car that we're going to hotwire over in the parking lot. So here we are at the red car. This car is actually pristine, if you guys don't remember from the previous episodes. I thought about lockpicking the door using the lockpicking mod, but there's a chance that the lock would break and the door would be unusable. So I decided to just instead smash the window. I was really against the idea because I wanted to keep the car pristine as long as possible, but I'd rather have a broken window than an unusable door. So we're going to go ahead and smash that window, and we're going to get into the car. And we're going to start putting the meds that we got from the pharmacy in the back seat, because the doors only go to the front 2 seats, right? So as long as we keep those 2 empty, we can jump in from either side of the vehicle. So we're going to go ahead and hotwire the car here. This mini game is from a mod. I don't recall the name of it now. It might be the lockpicking mod. But basically you want to kind of combine the wires until you find the right color, and this time it was blue and yellow. So now the car is hotwired. We can turn it on at any moment. I'm actually going to keep the spare wheel because we might actually need that later down the road, depending how many zombies we run over. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and drop all the medical stuff that we found in the back seats. Hopefully there's enough room in here in this car to hold it. We actually have way too much medical items. I don't think we're ever going to use this many, but maybe if one day we start a survivor colony somewhere, it'll come in handy. And there was actually so much medical supplies in that pharmacy that I couldn't pick up everything. So we're gonna have to do a second trip. There's only a couple stuff we left in the back room of the pharmacy, which we're gonna pick up right now. I do believe there is enough room in the car to do one single trip, because I want to kind of just, pick up all of this stuff so we don't have to come back here later. We could cross it out with an X on our little map. There's actually lots of antibiotics here. And something interesting about the More Traits mod that is one of the mods we're using, you can actually make the vaccine to the zombie. It's basically a zombie cure if you have 5 antibiotics and a couple other random items. And I think we have enough to make 1 or 2 vaccines. But the problem is that you need level 10 first aid skill, which is basically impossible to get. Not impossible, it's just unlikely. You'll probably die before you ever actually get that high. Yeah, you could maybe farm it by jumping out of a broken window and hurting yourself, but what's the fun in that? So let's go ahead and finish dropping off all of this gear here, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna head down to the bar, because I don't know how the situation is down there, right? So we want to make sure that it's clear before we drive down there. And no matter what happens, there always seems to be more zombies coming down to this parking lot. I think every episode now we've killed at least 1 horde of zombies in front of that hair salon. But since that's not where we're going to be going this time, we're going to go ahead and head down to this building just below the bar. We're going to kill these zombies out because the car does make a lot of noise, right? So we want to kind of make the area clear so we have enough time to connect the boat to the car. It's not a lot of zombies, it's just a couple. Seems to be like 5 zombies. It's a pretty easy number of zombies to deal with. Now, once these are done with, we're actually going to go ahead and we will have to kill the zombies at the hair salon. And the reason for that is because when we try to start the car, that actually does make noise. And it'll probably pull all of them at once. So let's kill these off here. Really nice and simple, real quick. And, oh, there's a couple more coming this way. And after these 2, which I think will last, we'll go ahead and head over to the parking lot and kill those off. Oh, there's another one down there. I'll ignore that one for now. Let's finish this one off first. Nice little stealth kill. These stealth kills are the best. And we actually found a military boot here, which is something that we don't have yet. And although it does make us slower, it's better than every other boot simply because you kill zombies faster, right? If your objective is to preserve your weapons, then the military boot is an absolute must, simply because it'll one hit every zombie that you stomp on, whereas other boots will take 1 or 2 hits. And that one hit, like that time it takes to that extra hit, is enough to make quite a big difference in combat. And that's something I'm going to make another video about some other time once I'm done with this series, a combat guide and tutorial. But that's something for another time. Let's focus on the clearing out these zombies here. From the looks of it, there was about maybe 10 to 12 zombies. I think. I didn't actually count, but that's what it looks like. As Drunk would call it, a gaggle of zombies. We're going to go ahead and try to pull them little by little. There's no point in finding them all. Even though we could, there's no point in risking our lives like that. So let's get maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 zombies at once. We'll kill them off, and then we'll just kind of rinse and repeat the same strategy. Now, as I said before, I'm not a big fan of the baseball bat. But in situations like this, it's actually really helpful. And I've learned from one of my friends that whenever you're panicking a lot, apparently the weapons have a higher chance of knocking down zombies. So if you combine that with the baseball bat's natural high chance of knocking over zombies, it's a pretty good chance you'll just knock them all over like what just happened, basically. Although, to be fair, the knife is just an absolute beast compared to any weapon, simply because it drains basically 0 stamina when you're fighting. And the attack rate is so fast that you can simply just back away and attack at the same time without any worries. Unless a zombie comes up behind you. In that case, you should be very, very panicked. But anyway, let's continue. There's only a couple zombies here. I'm pretty sure we can just push towards them at this point. Pretty sure we can handle these guys. These are the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So maybe 5 to 6 zombies. Also, something that I really enjoy a lot when I'm playing is the health bar mod. I know a lot of people think it's game breaking, but it really just gives me a little bit of a better feel to see how much damage you're doing, because there really is no indicator to that. So just knowing how much damage you're dealing and how many more swings you're gonna have to do before you kill that zombie is pretty good. I remember back in the old days when that wasn't a thing, and it's just like, oh my god, the zombie just won't die, you know? But in reality, they all just have like a health bar they just gotta deplete. Anyway, we're going to ignore those zombies on the top left there because I'm pretty sure the car won't aggro them. We're going to go ahead and clear out the store because there's always a couple zombies in here. One is a horde at the front. So let's kill this one. I thought the second one wouldn't see me, but he did. I'm going to go ahead and baseball bat him as well. And I think there was one more outside the parking lot, which we're going to go back and kill here before we head over to the bar. Or maybe that was all of the zombies. Okay, before we actually go ahead and turn on our new car, I want to see how much HP this boat has because I don't actually remember what the conditions are. So we're going to go ahead and have a look at its mechanics. We're going to go ahead and have a look at the other boat's mechanics, and we're going to pick the one that has more HP. Now remember, we do have the boat, but we can't get inside unless we have a crowbar or the key. Now we don't have a crowbar or a key, either of those items. So we're going to have to see how things play out. Although, to be honest, I don't know how I missed this the first time, but I just noticed as I was zooming in when I was doing the mechanic that there's actually a key for this boat right there by the lamppost. This is an absolute win for us. We basically don't need a crowbar anymore because we have the key for the boat. Of course, there's other uses for the crowbar, but for the purpose of escaping the island, we don't need it anymore. So this is going to be the boat we're going to take. It is actually a little bit more damaged than the one in front of the pharmacy, but as I said, we have the key for it, so that just basically means we're going to have this boat. So we're going to go ahead and head to the car. We're going to go ahead and turn it on. Since there's no more zombies, since we killed the zombies, we're going to go ahead and attach the boat, and we're going to drive away. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the boat over by the harbor, basically in front of the pump, and then I'm going to take the car back home, and I'm going to pick up that fuel tank from the beginning of the video that was parked in front of the harbor back to our house. So we have kind of like a little gas tank reserve at the moment. It's got basically 400 units of fuel in it. That's all the fuel we have, so we need to kind of preserve it until we find a generator and how to use the generator book. But anyway, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. The next episode is going to be about getting ready to leave the island. Basically, as I said earlier, we're going to be looking for the stuff that we require: generator, guns, food, and the medicine that we just stole today. See you next time.